Hey there everybody, Mark Finan here in the home weather office. Have a weather story for you today. This goes back, well, over 60 years now, back to a time when a typhoon, or the remnants of a typhoon, actually impacted California and other parts of the West Coast. Yeah, there have been some mentions of a typhoon in the headlines recently, so I thought I'd tell you more about a time when a typhoon actually did impact our weather. So this is the story of the Columbus Day storm of 1962, one of the most powerful storms we have seen on record, bringing not only heavy rain, but also strong winds. It all came from the remnants of what was Typhoon Freda. So let's talk about what happened with that storm. So let's go to some pictures for you. This is the way the setup looked from the National Weather Service back on the 12th of October of 1962. As you can see, we had a very deep low here at 976 millibars, a very tight gradient, and then a cold front draped down through California. And at that time, we had rain in this area. Farther to the south, we didn't have rain. So you have an ob here of rain in San Francisco in 55, 56 degrees with rain in Reno. But it really was this low that was doing all the damage with some very strong winds into Oregon as well as into Washington. So here's the way it was set up. The Columbus Day storm of October 11th to 13th. This comes from the book Historic Rainstorms in California. It was published in August of 1997. So the Columbus Day storm is remembered for high winds as well as for record-breaking rainfalls. Millions of trees were blown down along the coastal areas of Washington state and into central California. The storm started as Typhoon Freda near Wake Island 9 days earlier and merged with the cold front that I just showed you into an intense mid-latitude cyclone. A peak gust of 170 miles an hour was reported at Mount Hebo, located west of Salem. In California, heavy rainfalls included a wide band extending from Oakland to Alturas. The storm experienced $250 million in damage, and many 56 lives were lost. Keep in mind that $250 million, that's in 1963 dollars. So I have more information from this book that I got years and years ago. Comes in handy. This comes from the DWR. California high water of 1962-63, published in 1964. And let's see what this publication says. So this talks more about the meteorology of the storm. So we had new records for intense and concentrated rainfall. There was the front, and that's that front that was very important because, as this notes, waves passed along. So it really turned into kind of an atmospheric river sort of event, so that we did have waves pass along that front through the 11th and into the 12th, Columbus Day. And again, they talk about how Typhoon Freda, which was filling in and becoming extratropical low, and then we go on. Associated with this low was very strong pressure gradient, which resulted in strong winds. These winds of almost tornado intensity. Interesting how they put this in 1963, 64. Intensity blew down large quantities of timber in Northern California and especially extensively in Oregon. Freezing levels up around 10,000 feet in the evening of the 12th, lower to 8,000 feet. And by the 12th, we got all the way down to 5,000 feet as the system moved on the way out. So that's kind of the meteorology of what happened. Let's talk about the rain. This comes from the climatology of Sacramento, and you have a nice picture of my finger here. So this is the 12th and this is the 13th, both daily records for Sacramento. This is downtown Sacramento, 2.16 on that day, 3.63. So this would have been from midnight to midnight. Both of those still stand as records for that day. Look at the record on the 14th. 3/4 of an inch. So as you can see, this is extraordinary rainfall for this time of year. This is a map showing, these are called isoheights of rain. So in other words, anything inside this line would have 10 inches or more of rain. This area had 25 inches of rain. Same here. Let me zoom in on this a little bit more. So this here would be Sacramento, there would be Lake Tahoe. So let's say from Interstate 80 to the north, all of this area got 15 inches of rain, with some areas inside that getting 20 inches of rain. And over toward the coast, Napa County, Lake County, Sonoma County, also getting 10 to 15 inches of rain out of this, and also some of that into the Bay Area. This is how fast it accumulated. Down here at the bottom of the screen, this is the 10th through the 14th, and this dashed line, this is Blue Canyon, getting up to 22.32 inches of rain, and you can see just how fast it was coming down. So as you can imagine, even though it was October, we did have huge inflows, and this is another one of those ISO height maps showing Susanville getting 10 inches of rain, Sierraville getting 14 inches of rain. The storm total for Sacramento came in at 6.69. Wheatland had 9 inches of rain. Bangor had over 14 inches of rain. And this is another one of those maps showing just how fast it was coming down in Lake County, Lakeport, a rapid rise here. More than 8 inches of rain, 10 inches at Hopland. And of course, this had a big impact on downstream. This is kind of a little bit of a confusing map, but let me explain it for you. This dark line, this is the inflows into Folsom Lake, peaking out at 89,945 cubic feet per second. And that is on the early morning of the 14th. And then the dashed line is the lake, the level of Folsom Lake, coming up, and well, this is full. It got up to 658,000 acre feet. Full is, well, around a little under 700. So yeah, this was pretty full. So as you can see, the inflows dropped down. They did have to make some releases, which is pretty rare for the month of October. This is the way it looked. This is a photo from DWR back in 1962. This is the Feather River. As you can see, well out to the levees with some flooding out in this area. If you look closely, you can see the snow in the Sierra. So this is a couple of days after the storm, after the clouds had cleared. And then we have one more photo. This actually came from the San Francisco Examiner. And this is Lake Merritt in downtown Oakland, once again showing the high water. So that's what happens when we actually do have a storm come our way, a real typhoon, remnants of impacting California. So it was a powerful storm. And so when you hear about, a typhoon impacting our area, yes, it can happen. Although, again, it's the remnants of, we didn't actually have a typhoon come our way. But when the remnants hold together well enough, it can have a big impact. That's not happening anytime soon. But I did want to tell you a little story about the Columbus Day storm of 1962.